this thing reminds me of the year 2000 when the all-conquering Australian cricket team toured India for a 3-match test series. Now, India were led by Saurav Ganguly, who had a bunch of talented individuals at his disposal. The Australian cricket team, on the other hand, were a bunch of world beaters with players like Hayden, Gilchrist, Ponting, Steve Waugh in their ranks. They were a 15-match winning streak. In the first test, we got thrashed pretty badly by 10 wickets. Things seem to be heading the same way in the second test as well, when they imposed a follow-on upon us. But what happened after that was nothing short of miraculous. Dravid and Lakshman played for 1.5 days, and Harbhajan bowled brilliantly to win India the test. And India played splendidly in the third test to win us the game and the series. Ganguly's boy showed us that with the right attitude, there is no altitude that you cannot scale. Like Ravi famously said, it's not the size of the dog that matters, but the fight in the dog that counts. Moving on, let me remind you all about the 3 precepts of Toastmaster meetings. Number 1, please do not walk around or move around when someone is speaking, as it can be a little bit disturbing for the speaker. Number 2, please do not say anything offensive in a religious, political, or gender-related context. Number 3, I know you all love to talk, but can you please put your phone on silent? I'll give you all 10 seconds for that. The next speaker to come on stage, she's an example of how the right winning attitude can completely transform lives. Please put your hands together for Madam President, Toastmaster Hannah Victoria.
A very good evening to my dear fellow Toastmasters and most welcome guests.
Good evening.
So, how are you all feeling today?
Great.
Great. Have all the early birds had their tea, coffee and snacks?
Yes.
Great. No? I heard a no. That's because you weren't an early bird. So we're all settled in, yes? Yes. I now declare meeting number 1334 open. We at Toastmasters are a collective mix. When you come here, you see diversity. You see people from different walks of life being here. And yet, all of us feel inclusive. We are at home. Just to gloat a little bit about the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. We are the second oldest and the second largest club in across 800 clubs in India. To know more details about Toastmasters, you can please meet our Vice President membership, Toastmaster Surekha, after the meeting, and she will brief you. Toastmaster Surekha. May I now call upon our Secretary, Toastmaster Bruno, to please present the minutes of the meeting 1333.
Good evening. Good evening. I made a simple request some time back. Read the minutes. But you guys ended up sending me big messages about, hey, this is missing, that is missing, and it became a very big critique. Thanks for that. And how many of you really opened the minutes of meeting up? The last one and read through that? Anybody? Any questions? Did you like the format?
Yes.
Did you like a compliment?
Thumbs up.
You need to explicitly say, okay, hey, this is good. Okay.
Next week onwards.
This week onwards. See, first of all, I want thank Abhay Kotari for helping me with that fabulous the format, integrating with Google Forms and form document, everything, because it was not something that came out of the blue. It required a lot of effort there. And the minutes are not handwritten. It's auto-generated.
Which has 19 minutes.
Yes. So, that particular writing minutes, it has taken up all my workload, and I'm able to send it on Friday night with little bit of effort. So I'm grateful to Abhay Kotari for his initiative, and I look forward for your opinions and suggestions. And if there are any questions, please meet me after the meeting to know more about that. This is a fabulous technology where you can integrate many things and reduce staff work. So with that, I'll hand over the stage back to the President.
He didn't present the minutes actually. Any clarifications to the minutes which were sent last Friday? Okay, so I stand to declare minutes of the meeting 133 as passed. The theme of today's meeting, your attitude determines your altitude. I'm sure all of us know the importance of positive attitude towards what life throws at us and how we can weed through to get where we want to. But I want to tell you about another aspect of attitude. How we treat others. I'm not speaking about our bosses or the people who are in power. We know how to treat them well. But how do we treat people who actually don't matter to us, in the sense that we think that it doesn't matter being disrespectful? Chanakya, in one of his teachings, he says, beware of the weakest link. What you think is the weakest person. The weakest person's revenge is the meanest. Dhirubhai Ambani had a great connect with people, be it his staff, the people who he worked with, or his watchman, anybody. He had a way of knowing what exactly, not what exactly, I mean, he knew something about their family, and he would build his connect with them, even maybe just one sentence, but he had a way with people. One of the ways I would think to improve our attitude is the use of 3 golden words. Any guesses what those 3 golden words are?
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely right. Please, thank you, and sorry. I think they should be used a little more liberally, both in spoken as well as in written. One of the Toastmasters, when I joined here, the senior Toastmaster, he said, whenever a request is not accompanied by these 3 golden words, I don't think you should take any action. And I quite agreed with it, because it quite tickled me up when they don't use those words. But then I noticed 8 out of 10 requests are all words of lead. Can you do it? Can I know more details about Toastmasters? So I thought, okay, it's time to hang up my attitude and get to work. But my friends, I feel that being kind goes a long way to reach the altitude you want to reach. Moving on, I'd like to introduce to you the Toastmaster, or the MC of today's meeting. This young Toastmaster, he's a brilliant impromptu speaker, and he's a seasoned Toastmaster, and I'm still waiting for his speech where he speaks about, where he said he talked to us about how he got rid of his spectacles. So I'm still waiting for that. Being young, super confident, and a Toastmaster, it fits the bill of being an entrepreneur. He is an entrepreneur, and he has a podcast called Galata. Please join me to welcome Toastmaster Puneet Surana.
I welcome you all to Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Recently I had picked up a new skill. It's called personology. Anybody heard of it? It's the science of face reading. And I found it very fascinating because I meet hundreds of people a week at all the places I go, and I thought this would be a nice skill to pick up. So I started reading it. There are about 90 traits that you can identify from a person's face. And it was very fascinating, the science behind it, because we use different part of our facial muscles for different emotions and expressions. And over time, your face gets used to these expressions. And they form a particular structure, you could say, that somebody else can identify and categorize it. I found it very fascinating. One of the things that I became very quickly aware of was optimism or pessimism, which is a type of attitude in life. And how to identify if a person is optimist or pessimist is very, very simple. You look at the ridges of their lips when they are not talking or smiling. If they are just straight, parallel to the floor, they are neutral. But if they are going up like a smile without them smiling, it means they're optimistic. And if it's pointing down towards the floor, it means they're pessimistic. Interesting because you use your lips a lot to speak, and a lot of emotions are, happy emotions have an upper arch, unhappy emotions have a lower arch. And now I started observing people over the last 3-4 months, and it's very fascinating. Because I noticed young folks have optimistic trait. And it's so damn hard to find somebody in their 40s, 50s, and 60s have an optimistic trait in their lips. I don't know why. Maybe they have achieved the altitude that we're all talking about. Or maybe they have failed so much that they have stopped and they've given up. It's fascinating. So the youngsters here, as long as you're optimistic, make sure you reach for the skies and take shots because you can. Otherwise, you know where this goes. That's one reason why I believe Toastmasters is so powerful. Our founder was optimistic for 24 years. That's how long it took for Toastmasters to really survive and thrive. It failed multiple times. I've shared it so many times with all of you, the veteran members here. So I don't want to go again. But it's fascinating why the attitude of Ralph C. Smedley is so fascinating. And the closest one that I find alive and thriving and like visible with all of us is our founding member, who's the general evaluator for this meeting. He shared something fascinating with me that this wasn't the second Toastmasters Club of our country. There was another club that was formed in Indranagar. That was the second Toastmasters Club of India and Bangalore. And after this was started, that closed after a while. And a lot of clubs over the years have shut down, but ours has thrived. While I was having samosa, Neil mentioned to me that the longest corporate club is 11 years old and running. And it just surprises me that for 25 years, we just celebrated 25th year anniversary to the first time guests. It's because of the attitude of Robinson, sir. If you've been here for a year, you know what I'm talking about. I don't need to describe it. So please join me in welcoming the general evaluator of today, Robinson D'Souza.
Thank you, Mr. Puneet. Good evening, fellow Toastmaster guests.
Good evening.
How many persons who have come for the first Toastmaster meeting present here? Thank you. My role today is of general evaluator. It is giving a feedback of the whole meeting. And I started it at 5:30 when I reached the place. And it will continue till I stand up for the next time in this club. draw your attention, I am speaking here. Is there any connection between leadership and feedback?
Yes,
Yes.
there is.
You are right. The same question was posed to none other than N.R. Narayan Murthy. And he said, after they founded Infosys was the first company in India to adopt training office managers, including founders and the staff. One day, the training was conducted by none other than Manish Murthy, one of the founders of Infosys. And he spoke on selling. Narayan Murthy was sitting among the staff, among the employees, taking down notes. During the next session, it was Mohandas Bhai, who spoke about finance. Again, Mr. Narayan Murthy was there amongst the audience, sitting and taking down notes. After the meeting, they exchange what they call as feedback. And that's how they were able to see the success of Infosys. And that applies to all of us here in Bangalore Toastmasters. Precisely myself and 4 other persons who will be helping me will do that feedback. We are not here to find out your mistakes. We may be wrong, but we will communicate to you what we feel should have been done better. That's our role. The first person today who is going to help me in the role of grammarian has been with us for the last 6 years. And he has been responsible for the Toastmasters International to feature 3 of our iconic members. In fact, thanks to the Toastmasters, he is writing a book which will be out shortly. May I request the grammarian of today, Mr. Ganesh Pai, to explain your role and responsibilities to the audience.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
Last week I was in Chennai and I had to take a rig to reach my hotel. And it was welcome hotel. So it turned out there are 2 welcome hotels in Chennai. So the driver asked, which welcome hotel, sir? I said, Cathedral. He looked at me and said, Cathedral. I said, Cathedral Road. He said, Cathedral Road. Somehow it hurt my ego. Again I said, Cathedral Road. This time he gave up. He said, let's go. Then I saw something is fishy. So I checked, opened the Webster's app and tried and listened to the pronunciation. It was Cathedral. So today I am here to spot the cathedral movements and those watching for good and not so good usage of grammar and report my findings at the end of the meeting. And I am also responsible to introduce the word of the day, which is innocuous. An example would be, we had a hearty laugh at the innocuous jokes of Dr. Rajdeep Manohar. That said, I hand over the stage back to
Thank you, Mr. Ganesh Pai. The name of the next person, or the meaning of the name of the next person is Lord of the Universe. By education, he is BE, MBA. He is a program manager at present. He is expert in mentoring and team management. Despite his work today, I know how hard it was, he has been able to come here, for which I personally appreciate him. 15 years back, he was in the team of persons who introduced the first iPhone in the world. Fellow Toastmasters guests, I am presenting to you the time manager, Lord of the Universe, Mr. Vishwanath.
Good evening, Toastmasters. Yes, welcome, yes. So as a timer, my duty to time the number of minutes being spoken on the stage by individual speakers. So there are 3 segments. Ideally we have paid speech speakers who will be talking for close to 4 to 6 minutes, and I will be noting down on the time part of it, and ideally I'll be using the play cards as well in terms of green, yellow and red to highlight at least how much of time being utilized on the stage, and red being showing actually that you have exceeded the limit. And similarly for the table topics, we have 1 minute, 1.15 minutes, that means 1 minute and 15 seconds, and 1 minute 30 seconds. And at the end of the day, at the end of the meeting, I will be recording all these details and presenting it to everyone. Thank you, and let's enjoy the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Vishwanath. A few months back, our club was invited to present a demo meeting of Toastmasters in a private college, aided college here in Bangalore. We did it inside. That day, later in the evening, the director called me and asked me the contact details of one of the persons who will come here next. They were so much impressed by his presentation or participation in the demo meeting. Today they have a couple of Toastmaster clubs started by them. And that particular college has become the first private aided university in India. It is St. Joseph's University. And the person whose work was appreciated on that day is none other than Mr. Chiran. By education is BE in electronics, and he works as embedded software engineer. His role today is our counter. Come.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
We all have heard, like, silence is precious. But whenever we speak, even the bit of silence that elevates your speeches. So I am here to listen carefully to the most common used words and your favorite words and note it down. And at the end of the meeting, let the general evaluators know best control their usage of words. So it helps you elevate your speech. And it starts from the beginning and it will go till the adjournment of the program. So thank you. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Chiran. Any worthwhile conversations start with listening. Today's the listener is by education. She is BE in computer science. Her hobby is instrumental music. She is district level badminton player, and she has also danced in a television show. Fellow Toastmaster, I am presenting to you today's listener, Sahana.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Today is the first day as a role taker, so I'm pretty excited. You have more us to count. Listening is an extremely important skill. In the past 15 minutes, I've realized that it's pretty challenging, especially when you're given a role. And today, I'm going to listen keenly to the entire meeting to test your listening skills as well as mine. So I'll meet you at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahana. I now hand over the meeting to the Master of Ceremonies.
For the first time guests, quick recap of the format. We have 3 sections or 3 parts to this meeting. The first is prepared speeches, where we'll have 4 speeches today. Luckily for me and for all of you, we have 3 icebreakers, which means it's the first time a member is attending a speech. The second segment is table topics, where we'll be having all the members called on the stage and some guests also, so be aware before you give your name out to somebody while introducing the networking break. You will be called upon and they'll be given a topic extempore on the spot to speak about. And the third, which the general evaluator eloquently explained to all of you, is evaluation. So the circle is complete. The prepared speakers will be evaluated. Yeah, so that gives you a sense of clarity of what we are getting into. Now, without further ado, let's get to the prepared speech section. We have 3 icebreakers, like I mentioned. So my job is pretty easy, and all of you have nothing to worry about because you can just sit back and listen to their journeys and stories. Our first speaker today, can I have Toastmaster Lokesh read out the guideline? Please.
The speaker is attending the first project Icebreaker, and the purpose of the Icebreaker project is to share about oneself with the club, also to learn the basic structure of the speech. And the duration of the speech is 4 to 6 minutes.
And you know, this is same across the next 2 speeches. This Toastmaster, I've met her thrice over meetings, and I've just asked her one thing, and I've forgotten it every time, which is her name. That's all we did for 3 meetings, and I'm happy that she has an icebreaker today. So I finally get to go beyond that and understand what is she about, what's her journey about. So please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Toastmaster Sharma.
There is a great virtue in never giving up. When life doesn't go according to your plan, keep going. It doesn't matter where you are heading to. My life in 4 phases. Good evening, my fellow Toastmasters, guests, and all gathered over here. First phase. Quitting never made anything easier. Born on September 16, 1981. Place of my birth is also called as Rome of the East. Any guesses? Yes, absolutely right. I was born to Cicely and Faustine. I was an unplanned second child to my young parents. But soon after my birth, they accepted and took care of me. Due to financial crisis and job insecurities with my father, my mom had to move to Gulf. But I was privileged to have friendly neighbors. Every day after school, my neighbor Mary Auntie used to call me. Sharma, she used to scream from the house next door. I used to go and have a cup of coffee with snacks, which continued till my college days. So I grew up in that atmosphere. My mom used to come once in 2 years for our vacations. Once when she came, I was in my 10th standard. My marks in maths were single digit. You know, it is quite shocking for a parent. So my mom put me for tuitions. For the first time, I got 52 marks in maths. And I passed first class. After that, I continued my college degree in psychology and did my ITA foundation level course. And then I thought of moving to Bangalore. When I moved to Bangalore, like any other parents, my mom and dad started to search for a suitable boy for me. So I had a friend, Nixon, who proposed me. So I told my parents I want to marry him. Like a Bollywood drama. Initially they did not agree. It took few months for them, you know. And finally with all approvals and everything, we got married. Without any financial support, we started BHK rented house. So with my pay scale, it was not possible to own a flat in Bangalore. So Nixon was into business. So what my wish was to make him successful so that our dreams would come true. As it says, your wish is my command. Entire universe conspired to fulfill my wish. Very soon all our dreams came true. And my wish was to travel international tours. And our first international tour began in the year 2013, which still continues. We have traveled together 18 countries. In 2019, we had been to Switzerland. We stayed in Hotel Monopole at Lucerne, and it costed $1 lakh per night. And then last year for my 40th birthday, Nixon surprised me by taking me to Maldives. We stayed in Lagoon Water Villa Resort at Taj Exotica, and we went by jet skiing middle of the ocean in the ocean bank, and I celebrated my 40th birthday over there. Third and fourth phase of my life. It is always the secret of happiness is to count your blessings. Rough road that leads to the height of greatness. My mom was my biggest support. Due to her health complications, she couldn't make it. She passed away. And moreover, I had to manage my family, my children, and also I had to deal somewhere with midlife crisis. So Nixon had his own set of friends. He started spending more time with them. I felt a bit lost. Moreover, I didn't have my mom to share my, sorrows. So I thought, okay, I don't want anything, I'll just walk away. So I took an auto and I thought I'd go somewhere. Where did I go? Where did I go? Not to Switzerland. I went to CCD. I went to CCD, had a cup of cappuccino there. I sat alone, had a cup of cappuccino. Then I realized, God has done so many wonderful things to me. Why am I acting like this? I went back. I went back home, and then I decided, destiny of getting married, choosing a life partner was all my wish. Isn't it? If God brings you to it, He will bring you through it. So I put everything in His hands. And slowly I started seeing difference. In few months, everything started to fall in place. The friends who he trusted most, they started to show their true colors. And then he had to come back home. He apologized for all his mistakes. It doesn't matter what happened in your past. Your future is a clean sheet. You can always reinvent. And you can have a new life. Join Toastmaster to be a best version of myself, to inspire others, and also fine-tune my communication skill. To conclude, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Thank you.
There is one custom, a practice in Toastmaster meeting. The member who is invited here has to remain here until the Toastmaster or the other person takes charge, shake hands, and then do the things. This is for Sana also you listen. Then the first icebreaker, first speech, the icebreaker, when the person presents that, we all stand up. That had happened to Chirant also. Same thing. What Chirant did, I recall it, you had done it. You went there and he was chasing a girlfriend.
Yeah. She has to wait a long time before she gets that standing ovation. and I don't want somebody to miss it. I don't mind chasing, but anyway. Here's the fascinating thing, now that he mentioned that. I believe one of the most courageous thing to do is to come here and give a speech. And what stumped me the most is the next speaker, who has been so familiar to all our members. It was a shock to me when I realized that he hasn't yet given a prepared speech. Now, while you keep guessing, the veteran members, and peeking on the board on my left, on your left, I want Toastmaster Surekha to read out the guidelines. Got it, why? Because the parts are different. The previous part was dynamic leadership. This is presentation mastery. It took him 18 years to get back to this dais as a prepared speaker. And I could not believe it at all, because he's so phenomenal giving table topics and other roles. It came as a big shocker for me. And you not believe, while we were having tea and samosas, the early comers, he was nervous. And that is why I believe doing a standing ovation for them is a very special moment. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming, after 18 years, he's back on the dais, Toastmaster Joseph.
Go placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. The silence that I'm talking about. This is the reason why it takes a long time to give an icebreaker. Now, fellow Toastmaster, dear guests, and my fellow Toastmasters, how many of you have heard this poem called Desiderata? Okay, so only one. Okay, that's wonderful. I came across this line, this poem some years back, and it immediately struck a chord with me. This is just a few lines from this wonderful piece of literature that advocates people how to lead a very cherishing and contented life. Now, maybe because I was born in the summer of '69 in Bangalore, and having grown up in the 70s and 80s in Bangalore, this has a good connect with me. But nevertheless, this has guided me from then on. My father was employed in a public sector company called Bharat Electronics, and my mother was a school teacher. I have a younger sister who is married and now settled in Kerala. Well, I did my initial schooling in a school called Tony Convent. It was actually a girls' school. So after 4th standard, I was put into a boys' school, the St. Joseph's Indian High School. I vividly still recall the day, the journey in the morning to the school. We had misty, cool weather, trees lined on both sides of the roads, children cycling to school, and of course some exciting views like the Sankey Tank, the Vidhana Saudha, the Kabon Park, and most of all, the fighter jet plane in front of the museum. There were so many memorable moments and days in my school life. But one, definitely the one I remember the most, is the day when two of our school ex-boys, Syed Kirmani and Roger Bini, visited our school shortly after winning the Cricket World Cup in 1983. So I continued my education in St. Joseph's Arts and Science College. After graduation, I completed my post-graduation in Personal Management and Industrial Relations. I then joined R&M Associates, a management consultancy firm, and we advise companies on matters related to industrial relations and labor laws. Now, the turn of the century was a major event across the world. there was anxiety, fear, and excitement also. I thought that was a perfect time, and of course the Y2K scare was paramount. I thought it was a perfect time to find a partner to move into the new millennium, and so I got married, and all my other fears vanished. My beautiful wife Ceci and I are as different as cheese and chalk. In fact, I sometimes commonly joke that cheese and chalk at least share the same shade of color. But then I think it is the common set of values, core values that we share that really has the strength of our marriage. And over the years, two wonderful other beings joined us to increase this bond and strength. Our two sons, Martin and Justin. We call them the Tintin Brothers. Now, Martin was a brilliant child. We discovered that quite early. When Martin was about 11 or 12 years old, and our younger boy, Justin, was about 5 or 6 years old. During the holidays, when both of us had to go to work, Ceci used to instruct Martin to clean some part of the house every day. And in the evening when she comes back, she would find that everything very well done. So she would appreciate him for that. And we used to oftenly hear Justin asking Martin, how many points do I have now, Martin? And Martin would randomly say 20, 40 or 50 and so on. Ceci was very curious and asked them what this point stuff was all about. That's when we discovered that Martin was delegating his work to Justin. And after he completes his work, he would reward him with points. Now, Martin is in this third year of physics, studying physics at IIT Kharagpur. And our little boy Justin is doing his 10th standard in the St. Joseph's Boys' High School. Now let me come to another family of mine. Now don't laugh. DTMC, the family, I joined here long back, so I know most of the people here, and that has been a wonderful family that I look up to, wonderful members. Every meeting that I attend here, listening to amazing speeches, brilliant evaluations, and just being here with so many inspiring people is so rejuvenating and a stress buster for me. Now, going back to the poem Desiderata, says, whatever your labor and aspirations is in the noisy confusion of life, with all the sham drudgery and the broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. So be careful and strive to be happy. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
It's fascinating as a member to discover so many facets of somebody I've known for so long. It's fascinating. I'm just stumped. He didn't look nervous at all. Did you all notice that?
No.
Wow. Do not wait another 18 years. Or make us. It's fascinating. The next speaker was also giving an icebreaker speech. And I've noticed him from his Speechcraft days. For the first time members here or guests here, Speechcraft is a fast-track 8-week program that we also run. You can check it out at Toastmasters Sudeka or any committee members. And I've noticed him give 8 back-to-back speeches during his Speechcraft. And I'm so happy that he's joined in the entire club. And I can't wait to hear more about him, because this time he's going to go deeper into the Speechcraft speech which I have heard. So please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Toastmaster Ghanshyam Rathi.
Namaskara Bangalore. Come on, guys. Any guesses from which place I belong to? Okay, let me give you more hint. Let me make it more easier for you. Madhara Bharat Days is something that state resonates with. Yes, Rajasthan. In Rajasthan, there is a small place called Nokha. There is nothing Anokha of Nokha, but still it's beyond Anokha. If every time my heart fills with a great joy, every time I think of it. Well, let me begin with my hometown memories. The very first thing comes to my mind when I talk about hometown. My lovely mom and dad. My dad, Mr. Om Prakash Rati, he is like typical Marwadi dad who likes money. And you know what's Anokha about him? He loves me more. Well, let me tell you a secret why. I'm the youngest one in the family of 5. Well, now let's talk about Mama. Mom, Mrs. Sangeeta Devi. Do I even need to talk about Mamas? Their unconditional love?
No.
I don't think so. And I believe that even the youngest one in the crowd can relate and connect with me how moms are, their unconditional love. I have 2 older siblings and they both have equally spoiled me with their love and affection. Well, there is nothing Anokha of Nokha, but still it's beyond Anokha when it comes to academics. We all can imagine a typical village school where the hustle and bustle is in regional language. And naturally, when I shifted to Bangalore, Angreji mein pakad thodi tight thi. I couldn't understand English much, at least back then. Well, on the positive side, I have beautiful memories of school, representing as a school captain and playing for school, and those friends, I still miss them. And they are still very good friend of mine. Well, that was my Nokha story. Now let me begin with the Anokhi story of Bangalore. Among 20 odd cousins, I'm standing right here. I'm very grateful of it. I believe that those who have spent some time in village, they can relate and connect with me. It might not be a big thing for a city fox as it was for me and my family. The celebration had happened when I got the admission in Jain University. And the similar celebration took place when I was born, 14th June 1999. As in every household, even in my family, everyone was eager to name me. My maternal uncle had heavenly spark and he decided to call me by one of Lord Shri Krishna's name on 13th day, Ghanshyam Rati. Lovingly called Ghanu at Rati's household, I have repaid my family faith by landing a job at SAP organization. Even though, as a village boy, I had faced multiple rejections due to my communication skill. Even though I have landed a job at prestigious organization, my zest for learning and excellence has brought me to Toastmaster. I wouldn't have got this opportunity if I would have stayed at my hometown. And those ambition and that thinking out of the box wouldn't have come if I wouldn't have come be able to in Bangalore. So I'm very grateful and very thankful of it. I hope you all have enjoyed as much as I have enjoyed sharing with you. Thank you. Ghanshyam Rathi signing off.
Welcome to Namma Bengaluru. It fills me with so much joy and pride when somebody who's come to Bangalore and learns Kannada. It fills me with a lot of joy. Kannada is a beautiful language, and I like his uplifting attitude about so many things and his entire journey from Noka to SAP. Fascinating, huh? Our next speaker is attempting a path called Dynamic Leadership, L3. And can I have Toastmaster Alan lead up the guidelines? Toastmaster Alan, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
The purpose of the speaker's project is for the member to practice using a story within a speech or giving a speech that is a story. Timer, please note, timing for the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. Best of luck with the speech.
Come on. When I first joined Toastmasters, I thought they made us clap so much because it was a boring meeting. But over time, I realized, no, it's not at all. When you start noticing the nuances of somebody transforming week after week, you really want to clap. So I've seen people who are stammering, and I've seen them come across as so flawless, that I asked the first-time guest, can you believe 2 years ago, Toastmaster Satvik was stammering? And they would look at me like surprised and shocked. So please clap, and clap with your hearts and hands. Coming to the next speaker, she is a research and development engineer, and she's been a member for a really long time with us, so we have seen her grow and blossom into a really good speaker. So please join me in, before that, her speech title is Lost in Darkness. But she tells me that she likes to live in the moment, which scares her family a lot. So let's find out what the speech about. So please, ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Priyanka Ranore.
Years back, around the same time, I was on my way to Leh with 5 of my cousin sisters. The excitement was twofold. One, we were visiting my sister Sanjana after a very long time, who was an army officer and was serving in Leh. And second, what was more exciting was we got an amazing deal of rupees 999 from Delhi to Leh. As the plane was landing in Leh, I looked out of the window and the view was breathtaking. I just could not take off my eyes from the window. The rugged valleys and mountains, nested in the midst of the towering Himalayas. As I came out of the airport, the cold air wrapped me and I could feel the biting cold. As this was my first time, I was in a -degree place. After the hustle and bustle of Bangalore, the place felt so serene. An army vehicle had come to pick us up. As we reached the army base, it was surrounded with snow-peaked mountains and moon-like landscapes with splashes of green all over. I could not believe I was so close to nature. A place so aesthetic existed in India. Next evening, Sanjana had organized our visit to the Leh Palace and the bustling Leh main market. The Leh Palace stands like a sentinel overlooking the town. Since royal families were not residing over there, the palace was in ruins. Inside the palace, were old wall paintings depicting the life of Buddha. But the most exciting part of our outing was the Lane Main Market. The Lane Main Market is one of the most attractive and bustling places to visit. These stalls are arranged in the most attractive and fanciful way that you would just get lost in exploring them. My cousins and I were so excited. We were hopping from shop to shop and buying many things, from jewelries to clothes and many brass idols. We went berserk, forgetting it was our first day. I was overjoyed, showing off my bargaining skills and getting every item on my demanded price. In my excitement, I did not realize I lost my way, leaving behind my cousins. I was so nervous and flustered that I could not find my way back. And to add to my misery, the sun started to set and it was turning dark. I had never traveled alone. It was pitch dark and a new place. I was getting anxious. Even the slightest shadow, I would panic. I tried going back to the shop where I had bought the items so I could ask for help. But it was in vain. Every shop was shut. I stood in the middle of pitch dark market, looking around, confused, in which direction to move and ask for help. I started to walk aimlessly with the hope I would find someone. Imagine my plight. I did not have a phone and could not even remember anyone's number to ask for help. As I was walking through the empty dark street, my breath started to accelerate. My hands and legs were trembling. Suddenly, 3 men with their faces covered emerged from the darkness, advancing towards me. I was petrified and turned cold, imagining that they could be wolves. I could feel nothing but blind terror. I yelled out, "Stay away! Stay away!" I threw all the items that I had bought and took the brass idol and flung at them and turned around to run away. As I sprinted as fast as I could, they kept running behind me. Every time I found a corner to hide, I would hide and let them go by. This happened several times. Finally, I thought I got rid of them. I was panting and crying, and all unwanted thoughts are flashing across my mind. And out of the dark, the 3 men got hold of me. And I screamed. The 3 men held me and said, "Calm down, calm down. We are not here to hurt you. Calm down." I was just not ready to listen. Suddenly, I heard Sanjana's voice. I heaved a sigh of relief and turned around, thinking Sanjana had come for my rescue. When I looked back, it was a voice from one of the men's phone. She had sent these 3 men in search of me, and they had covered their faces as it was biting cold. These 3 men took me back safely to the base camp, and I was so relieved, and joy after reuniting with my family had no bounds. I must say, the excitement was not 2 folds, but now 3 folds after experiencing this adventurous situation. Over to you.
Thank you guests for standing up. She missed the standing ovation, though it deserved one. This story really marks that not all men are out there to take advantage of a single lady in the evening or night. What stopped my heart for 2 minutes was the fact that my elder sister, Dr. Harshita, is on her 4th solo trip across Uttarakhand right now, and I was just getting memories of her. But and if you have daughters and sisters, here's something I want to share. There's nothing that I've noticed. And I have 19 first sisters, so I have a lot of journeys to know and observe. There's nothing I've noticed that transforms a girl like a solo trip or a few minutes in a crowd without anybody she knows. The first time that Harshita came back from her solo trip, it was an international solo trip, so we were very panicking. My dad has a very different heart of steel, so he can bear it, but the rest of us couldn't. She was a whole transformed person. And second and the third time I could see she was more outgoing, she was more confident, she was able to find her ways and things. So if you have a sister or a daughter, or even if you're a wife, send them across to solo trips. Encourage them and support them. It's fascinating how they blossom and come back. Yes, make sure you have some way to reassure yourself, whether prayer or whether constant calls in the evening or morning, but make sure you send them out. The way it builds the attitude, oh God, it's beautiful. It's worth witnessing. Don't miss out on that. I cherish it every single time she's back. She's going to be back in a week, so I'm really excited. Another thing that we all are excited about, this is fascinating how it's become the highlight of a meeting somehow. And the reason the atria for us coming here, at least by this time, if not start of the meeting, it's the snacks. So we're going to have a 10-minute break.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So we have veg sandwiches, we have veg ragi sweets, and we have rose cookies. Rose cookies have egg in them, so vegetarians just a point to ponder on. But that's about it. 10-minute break. Please indulge in the snacks and interact with people. Now you can clap.
The innovation is mind-blowing and like it's nerve-wracking. Amazing innovation, huh? Minutes of meeting within 1 hour.
1 hour, 40 minutes. That is. He's going to break his own record. So for that 1 hour, today he didn't prepare minutes of the meeting.
Sir, you told the minutes
He's still floating on that success.
Sir, you minutes minutes. I don't read minutes because I can hear minutes from you. That's the reason.
You read minutes? No, actually, no. Nobody was reading the minutes.
Sir, you are in quiz ಕೇಳಬೇಕು.
I told him.
Quiz ಕೇಳಬೇಕು. ಅಲ್ಲ sir, one question like you read your minutes. Sir, who was the Toastmaster of the day last year?
Read the minutes.
Hey, this is last year.
Ladies and gentlemen, can you have all of you back to your seats? Can you have all of you back at your seats? Ladies and gentlemen, let's have you all back at your seats. Hurry up. Please grab your seat, yeah. I mentioned earlier that the attitude of our founding president has been the reason why our club has sustained for 25 years. And a beautiful demonstration just happened 30 seconds ago when, can I share this? Yeah. Toronto Toastmasters had just had their sandwiches, and it takes a while for him to take the sandwich plate and dispose it. So Toastmaster Robinson observed this, and he picked the plate and disposed it and buzzed it all the way to the end. small acts like these are what the rest of us notice. When a label falls down and he's able to put it back in the middle of the meeting, or when he notices a member miss on their standing ovation, he comes in and tells people there are customs that we have here. You can come in, you don't need to wait outside. Come. This is the attitude that I was referring to. It's about these small acts of thoughtfulness that really makes us go, wow, somebody has been at this club for 25 years and there's no air, there's no calm about it. There's a get-going attitude. And that fascinates me. And I believe a lot of you members are touched every time you notice this. So thank you. Can you have a round of applause? Thank you for showing us how to really lead beyond the manuals. Thanks, Shifali. We can do it afterwards. Grab a seat.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So the pen is already at the door. So make sure you keep your plates or anything else at the bin. The next segment is the table topics. This is where a lot of members really are tested. And I love this section because you get to see. In fact, I remember Neil, who's a long-time member. He was with Joe's Paul in 2004-2005 era, and now he's moved to Australia, and he's the son-in-law of our general evaluator. He told me his first table topic speech lasted 6 seconds, and that was twice of how long he thought it was. So I can't wait, and you should all wait to listen to Neil. Maybe Table Topic Master can take a note. 18 years later, what happens to a speaker? But please join me in welcoming the Table Topic Master for today. She has been the SAA of the previous committee, and she helps companies and startups visualize their data. It's very fascinating what she does. Make sense of data and help the rest of us to understand data visualization is what it's called. She's a solopreneur, an engineer turned solopreneur. So please join me in welcoming Chaitra as the Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Toastmaster Puneet. Welcome to the Table Topic session, all of you. I know everyone's been looking forward to the session, maybe with a little bit of apprehension. We're going to make today's session really quick. So I want everyone here to note that the timer will show the green card at 45 seconds and the red card at 1 minute. We're going to have you speak for 1 minute. And when you see the timer hold up the red card, I want all of you to start applauding because we want to get as many people speaking as possible. For today's session, we're going to do a thought experiment. We're going to pretend that we all live in a small town and we have a small town newspaper that puts out these interesting headlines. And I want you, when I call out the headline, I want the person to come up on stage and speak as though they are in the news item. So for example, if I say, local citizen gets elected as the chief minister, I want the person to come here and speak about them getting elected as the chief minister. Shall we start? Yes. The first topic. Local business owner gets a contract for supplying sand to Saudi Arabia. Toastmaster Alok.
When I started off, I did not know even how to read or write. Even today, I don't know ABCD. But then, what I really know is how to speak. And there was this time when people from a big town, they came here and started a session on public speaking. That was Bangalore Toastmasters Club. In our village, they started a session of public speaking, and that's how my journey started. After I started speaking on stage, my confidence grew. I was able to learn Urdu. And then I started communicating with people in Saudi Arabia, because if there was one opportunity in our village, it was exporting sand. I could see sand all over the place, but nobody was doing anything about it. There were only children playing on sand, but nobody thinking of a business idea there. I learned Urdu, and Saudi Arabia said, we have a lot of sand, but our sand is not of great quality. It is sand from India, it's of a lot of quality. And that is how, my friends, I started exporting sand to Saudi Arabia, and today here I am.
Thank you, Toastmaster Alok. We can see how creative people get with these topics. Next topic. Local citizen sets world record for deep sea diving. Toastmaster Nazneen. Local citizen sets world record for deep sea diving.
Good evening, Toastmasters and esteemed guests.
Good evening.
I'm good. I think my perspective is speaking. But in my bucket list, it was always there to be a deep sea, to go on for a deep sea session. When I went to Maldives with my husband and my children, I went there and had a time of my life, because I remember that I have an attitude. Definitely, Zigzagler did not just put up this, that you have an attitude, but which makes you reach the altitude. And all the Bangalore Toastmasters here have an attitude of gratitude, and definitely help each other and grow in their lives and in the future speeches. So just being me the best is not enough. We all should own the best.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nazneen. New resident refuses to believe that our river is infested with crocodiles. Toastmaster Abhay.
I don't believe that the river is infested with crocodiles. Okay, so just like how Nazneen wanted to become a world-class swimmer, I went deep diving into the same river. And there I saw there are lots of fish. There's lots of algae. There's lots of freshwater, animals. Then I saw some other mermaids and everything. The mermaids were swimming. The mermen were coming to them, and all sorts of things like that. And then I realized that even I am a merman. The dream was going on and on and on. And suddenly, I felt a jolt at my shoulder. A jolt that shuddered me. And I woke up to realize that my wife was at my shoulder and I didn't know how to swim. Over to you, Thomas.
Local millionaire builds a house next to the sewage treatment plant. Toastmaster Richard.
Toastmasters and distinguished guests, I'm proud to show my mettle by building this house next to the sewage plant. Please don't think that things cannot be possible. I have made it possible. And you know what kind of atmosphere I get? Papayas. They grow only because of the breeze of the sewage. Fish. Plenty of it. No dirt of it, and I distribute them And more than anything else, mosquitoes you can never think of because they die only because of the odor. This sewage plant. There is blessing wherever there are difficulties. In difficulty there is opportunity, and I have proved that only thing what is required is only you have to move ahead. I had no money to build my bungalow somewhere else. This place was meant for me, and I have made this as heaven.
Thank you, Toastmaster Richard. Next one. Local activist wants to ban roadside parking. Toastmaster George.
So, good evening, Toastmasters. I was expecting something on the same post, but got the post of Extremist. So, some days ago, in my village, there was an accident on the pedestrian where the two old persons were killed. And that was right in my front of my eyes. And that I could not able to take it up. So I made it very clear. The pedestrian and other roadside should be very clear. There should not be any roadside parking, and made a judiciary norm that the persons who overrules this rule will be seriously punished. So this is what step I taken. So I think
Thank you, Toastmaster George. Okay, next topic. Local neurosurgeon wants to give up career and become a pirate. Toastmaster Vivek.
These days, journalists do not verify facts. This is completely paid news. No neurosurgeon of this time wants to really become a pirate. Because neurosurgeons are pirates. If somebody comes with a headache, I just prescribed MRI brain scan. MRI brain scan costs around 25,000. I get around 60% of it. As a pirate, it would be very difficult for me to lead a life if I do the same thing because it's against law. But this is by prescribing an MRI scan is the easiest way to make money. So all this is paid news so that these neurosurgeons are moved into piracy and they can be arrested there. So that is the reason why I am being these kind of fake news of India, fake times of India are reporting all these nonsense to push neurosurgeons into this, but I am not going to be in that. That's fake news. Don't believe that I am here to prescribe MRI brain scans.
Thank you, Toastmaster Vivek. You know that the neurosurgeon is being fishy when he denies the truth. Local scientist gets arrested for bank robbery, claims that it was part of an experiment. Tintin Teresa. Local scientist gets arrested for bank robbery, claims that it was part of an experiment.
Of course. That is how I start to intervene, or that is what my subject. What else I will do? How will I say get my doctorate to my children or even to my husband by doing this? You believe it or not? Do you believe that I did a robbery?
Yes.
Yes, no. That is how I start my career. That is how I start what is R&D, research and development. That is why I am a scientist. I want to find out how a robbery can help others, the society too. How we can do, how we can go, how we can find out, how we can grab. Everything is not only, your IQ is not important. EQ, someone said emotional quotient. Yes, adequate quotient. Social quotient. I had social quotient. That is what I did. That with, I went to the bank. It is not called robbery, it was called as a false.
Thank you, DTM Paresa. Local resident orders a nail cutter on Amazon, gets a new iPhone instead. Toastmaster Zafar. Local resident orders a nail cutter on Amazon, gets a new iPhone instead.
Good evening, yes. Dear Toastmasters. This is my first time on stage, so I'm pretty much nervous. So, okay, I ordered a nail cutter on Amazon and got an iPhone instead. Okay, so last night I was on my bed and I realized I needed to trim my nails, and then I opened the Amazon app and ordered for a nail cutter, and it was a prime delivery, so I got it the next day, and to my shock it was an iPhone, and I had to pay payments for it, and I got an iPhone. That's it.
Thank you, Toastmaster Zafar. Local gets caught red-handed stealing avocados from the neighbor's tree. Toastmaster Sitaram. Local gets caught red-handed stealing avocados from the neighbor's tree.
Yeah, I have been accused of stealing avocados from my neighbor's tree. But the fact is that it had fallen from the tree and I just happened to pick it up. So it's not a theft, but I just managed to take it from the tree. So, so I would say that it's not a theft.
Local activist sues Disney for making unrealistic movies. Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi. Local activist sues Disney for making unrealistic movies.
I look back at all the Disney Cartoon Network, the cartoons which came in my childhood. Have you guys noticed the lyrics? Yes? Anyone? Some of them are shocking. You're like, is it even meant for kids? Yes, I did take that step and I went and I sued them. Rightly so. But then, the amount I received in the compensation, wow, that was a huge, huge amount. Can somebody suggest or volunteer what we could do about it?
Give it to me.
Distribute. One. Any more guesses? One is distribute amongst Toastmasters. I've been talking about $500 million. One. Sorry?
We all can go to Disneyland.
Wonderful idea.
Yeah.
Disneyland. So I know I always get this applause from Vaidya, like, please come down, but I still want to, justify justify my 2 minutes. 1 minute.
Okay. Local citizen finds a snake in their car. Toastmaster Saurabh. He's not here? Okay.
That's the topic we given to Guru.
Yes. Toastmaster Guru. Local citizen finds a snake in his car.
Fantastic. In my place where I stay in JP Nagar 8th place, it is a regular situation where it's not only in cars, it comes to the apartments and also it comes to the snakes are in and around. Because that area is like more of it's a new upcoming place. Where when somebody want to construct a new house, if they clean it, the next door I think the snake will be there. Okay, so having it in a car, yeah, will be a little surprising sometimes because sometimes we feel that there is some snack in the car and start eating, but we don't know the snakes comes to your hand and go. So holding it maybe a little sarcastic way, but still snakes are I've seen a lot of snakes moving around in my place and it's and it's like looking from far away it's more dangerous, but of course if you go to them I think they'll go back. So don't have panic when you see snakes. Just be cool and quiet so that it will go from your place. Over to you.
We are running short of time.
No, I
so I'm just going to.
No, there are a couple of people. So I'm
couple more people? Study. Okay. Local citizen challenges Virat Kohli to an arm wrestling match. Toastmaster Vijay Kalkundu.
Toastmaster, this actually happened. So the name was Virat, but it was not Kohli at then. So we were playing this cricket match at one of the gymkhanas in my hometown. And there was a guy who was leading the team who was a little bulky. And what is special about arm wrestling is, it's not the size that matters, but it is the mental strength that matters. So when I got this opportunity, I put a bold face in front of him. And my mental strength was so strong that I did not give away. And the match ended in a draw because there was a lack of time. So you will be in a tough situation, but always put a bold face and it will be better than having strong body.
Local citizen forgets to pick up in-laws from the airport. Toastmaster Basha.
It's not about what you do, but it's about how you do. Agree? I forgot to pick up my in-laws, not on purpose, at least on record. But yes, I did forget to pick up them, like how I forgot to probably clocking my attendance today, or forgot that today's Friday and made it on time, is simply because I am under tremendous pressure. So to make up for this, I'm sending them back all over again to pick them up back all over again so that it has to be compensated. So that way, next time when they arrive, I will be on time picking them up, and yes, my husband that way will be happy.
Okay, last topic. Local resident fails to recognize Virat Kohli sitting next to him in a flight. Toastmaster Nagesh.
Virat Kohli, is it?
Yes.
Who is he? Yeah, he was wrestling with him. Correct. Actually, I was deep busy with my mobile, playing something, sitting in the flight, and watching somebody walking down the aisle also, that I forgot that there's some celebrity sitting next to me. Who was he? Somebody said it was Virat Kohli. Why I don't know him? Because I don't watch cricket. It's not my favorite game. My favorite game is chess. A game of brains, not a game of muscles. So, Vishwanathan Anand is my favorite player, celebrity for me, not Virat Kohli and others. Because chess players never fail India. You have the child prodigy also, who is making us proud. So for me, heroes are those who play chess, not cricket. Thank you.
With this, we come to the end of our table topic session, and I know I enjoyed it, and I see everyone smiling, so I know you definitely enjoyed it.
Sure.
The voting links for the speakers are up, and the table topics will also be up soon. The password is cloud, so please vote. Till then, back to the TMOD.
Such fascinating topics. Brings so many perspectives and puts so many of us on the spot. It's really fun to watch people get on the spot and still handle their gems together. This was the end of the second part of our meeting, which is table topics. The third part is evaluation. So the guests and members who witnessed the 4 speeches, now they'll be broken down and evaluated: the good, the bad, the ugly, and the best. So can't wait to sit with all of you and learn. This is like a learning session now. Can we all join and give a huge round of applause for the gentle evaluator of today, Toastmaster Robinson D'Souza.
As usual, friends, I came here a little earlier, today at 5:30. But I was glad to see several members present here arranged in the hall. That's the result. I congratulate all those present, I know, but I don't name them here, because 5%, more than 5% were here. We should continue that practice. Need not be at 5:30, but before 6:30, the entire hall should be ready. Now, Mr. Sai Deepak, where are you sitting? Yeah. You were at the last group earlier. Started on time, exactly 6:30. Excellent presentation. And both you touched attitude, the theme of the day, and also not the size of the dog, but the fight in the dog. Only 1 or 2 suggestions. Little practice is required, but you are doing it for the first time, understand? Don't worry, you will learn. Practice, then mic we should not touch, and we should be away, at least 6 inches away from the mic and the mouth. The gap should be 6 inches, and we should not hold the stand. If you hold the stand, then the sounds will come. Otherwise, excellent presentation and confidence. Very well begun your journey as Sergeant at Arms. Then President, how we treat the people. You refer to Chanakya, Dhirubhai Ambani, 3 golden words. Do you remember them? 3 golden words.
Yes.
Yeah. Different from personal stories. Somebody commented, I remember last time, you are telling your own personal story. Doesn't matter. It is his view. I like today's presentation of yours. Then the minutes, you also rightly commented that you are not mentioned to explain the minutes, but you have given a lecture here without using that word. Then you very well introduced Puneet as the Toastmaster of the day. Puneet, I'll come to you next. May I request the evaluator for the first speaker, Mr. Lokesh, to join me here.
I work with Nokia and I realized that there's one thing common between Nokia and the Bangalore Toastmasters Club. Any guesses? Connecting people, exactly. And this is what the icebreaker does. Icebreaker is an excellent speech which gives enough information for the Toastmasters to know, to understand yourself. Fellow Toastmasters, General Evaluators, and Toastmaster Sharma. Your speech was a very candid presentation about your life. The purpose of the speech was also to learn the basic structure of a speech. Opening was really great. The transitions, especially, is the one where you talk about your hobby. It was really smooth. All transitions were good. This was really smooth. In the presentation, your gestures were great, and the voice modulation was also very, very excellent, especially the one where you said your friend called you. That time, the voice modulation and the gestures that were really good. You spoke about your family, the complete life, your family, your education, all aspects of your life. You spoke very well. There was also a point where the pain of your struggle was also evident in your voice, on the face also. And you also viewed your dreams about your life very well in your speech also. And one of the things about the icebreaker is also your purpose of joining Toastmasters, and you ended with that as a conclusion for all of us to know this. With icebreaker, when we see the different aspects of life, we are able to connect that, hey, that is common to me. I have experienced that. And that gives a very good way for others to next time connect to you, talk to you with that. As you go forward with your path, you will also learn lots of different aspects of speech and the delivery also. For example, how do we use a stage movement to emphasize a point or to give a point to ponder over this one. With that, it was a very excellent speech. It's good to know you, and over to you.
Thank you, Lokesh. I appreciate confidence, your preparation, the opening and conclusion, excellent. In fact, fellow Toastmasters guests, Sharma had come for the first meeting not to join the club. She had brought her children, 2 children. She wanted them to join the club. Then there was a problem. Since they are minors, she joined. Am I right?
Yes.
Normally, a lady or a girl doesn't tell us or announce her age. Here she has narrated the date of birth also. Who is your mentor?
Sureka.
Then we can. There will be a queue in future. Sureka being the mentor. Only one aspect which I mentioned earlier about Chiran and you and also Sahana, there is a rule. This lectern is a very sacred place once the meeting starts. And until it is officially adjourned, it should not be left alone. It's not your mistake, it's our mistake. We should have taught you early. Don't take it hard, both, all the 3 of you. You are not committed to the mistake. We committed the mistake. Now for the next evaluator of the second speaker, Madam Sureka.
Audible, ma'am.
evening, everybody, and my target speaker, Toastmaster Jose in particular. Jose, that was one of the most remarkable icebreaker speeches that I've ever heard. I'm sure you all will agree with me. But Jose, you had it all wrong. You were supposed to be delivering an icebreaker speech. By some Kahani twist, you delivered a landmark speech. Now let's see, which were the dazzling ice crystals that beautified your speech? In the news broadcast of your life, which lasted for over 6 minutes, you told us everything with such precision that I'm really wondering, why did you take so long to make that decision? And what I loved about your story was the careful weaving of it. The chronological depiction, starting from your birth, your childhood, your middle age, and starting and ending up to the present moment. And the key message that flowed through your entire speech was the profound wisdom held in that poem, Desiderata, which has been the guiding light of your life. And friends, the message that this poem gives us is that regardless of the storms that are blowing outside, in our outside world, it is possible to reach the peace of the mountaintop in our inside world, and that's how we create a beautiful world. And another highlight of your speech, Jose, was the relationship advice that you gave each one of us. You told us that you and your wife Ceci are poles apart. Chalk and cheese, you said. Yet, you served a wonderful cheesecake to both your sons. A cheesecake that was packed with the flavors of happiness and harmony. And how were you able to do that? By celebrating your differences and by treating each other with respect and consideration. Powerful relationship advice, I thought, friends, that is for each one of us to carry home. And those funny, innocuous anecdotes with those Tintin Brothers, your two darling boys, kept us laughing and craving for more from you. Please continue with your personal stories in your future speeches as well. And then coming back to your delivery, your eye contact was eye-catching and you made instant audience contact. Your gestures were free-flowing and smooth. You had the fluency, you had the fluidity. You showed that you have the poise and the control. Very well done on that. And now, some suggestions for your progression. And boss, suggestions are not stop signs. They are only guidelines. So I personally thought, though your voice was loud and clear, it felt flat at certain times. So if you could just bring it up and down, the modulation, the intensity of your voice would be lowered and raised accordingly. You would nail it a lot more better. And never mind how long you took to embark on your speech journey, remember that you've got comeback power. And then a little poem for you. Jose, you not only broke that ice, but you shattered it, Jose. And with every moment that you did, our spirits rose. So if BTMC was supposed to be a flower bouquet, then you are one of its finest roses.
I'm not dumbfounded. But only thing I could say, why do you use the word you came here and delivered, you came here and delivered? Why can't we use the word presented? 18 years has taken. Perfect evaluation, perfect. Good. May I request, who is your mentor? He is he is not here. He is busy with his guests. And the third speaker, Ghanshyam, may I request Prateek to join me here.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
Toastmaster Ghanshyam. So I would like to congratulate you on a perfect icebreaker speech, which was definitely in line with the purpose of your project. The key highlight for me in your speech was that you did showcase all the skills that you had learned in your speechcraft program, starting with structuring the speech. So you started your speech with the right question, and the body of the speech had a flow, and where you spoke about yourself, about all that we expect in a perfect icebreaker speech. And also you did end your speech right. Also what I liked was your confidence on stage, and also you're well prepared, and there was perfect humor in your speech. One key area that I would like to highlight in your as an improvement, that you should try to avoid clasping your hands. Maybe in your next speeches, when you start using some gestures, that's where you can try to avoid clasping your hands. During our conversation, I did ask you, why did you want to re-attempt your icebreaker speech? So you said that in your first speech, you were not quite confident, you were not a little ill-prepared, and you forgot your speech, right? And you believe in perfection. So this was what you had presented today was a perfect speech, and I'm sure with this commitment, you will be a Anoka from Noka.
Thank you, Prateek. Gansha? Yeah. Who is your mentor, Gansha? Yeah. No, excellent presentation. I fully agree with Prateek with your evaluation. Confidence, you also tried voice moderation. Imagine for the first speech, first presentation. Trying voice moderation. Very good. Next, the last speaker, Mr. Alan, please come here.
Hello Toastmasters and guests, and Toastmaster Priyanka in particular. With the purpose of using a story within a speech, thank you Priyanka for taking us on an exciting journey. Your title was Lost in Darkness, but I was lost in awe. Now why do I say this? You were brimming with confidence. You had body language in terms of gestures that worked well with your content. It was extremely well rehearsed. The content was well constructed, well articulated, and you had vivid imagery, and I was actually imagining the story as it went along. The most important part of your speech, which I liked, or your story, was that you smiled. People forget to smile. When you smile, everyone around you smiles, and you smiled when it mattered the most. You had great eye contact, but not just great eye contact. You had eye contact that conveyed emotions, which I felt was very, very important. You engaged the audience, and I felt that you were very self-assured in terms of your presence. Now, having said that, what are the things that I felt could have taken your speech to an even better level? I felt that you could have used the stage better. You were restricted to this, and at most you would go here or here. If I was talking about a chase scene, I would move around, right? And that would have probably made better usage of stage and your speech more effective. Another aspect is in your voice modulation. Though I like your voice modulation, picture this. There's an example of a scene. They helped me and I screamed, ah! What that does is, it just brings that emotion of that scene into the story, and I felt that could have made your speech more effective. Having said that, Priyanka, thank you for taking us on that trip again. It was like a painting on a black canvas. It was interesting every bit of the way, and by the end of it, it was a speech to behold. That's what it is.
Thank you, Alan. Priyanka, was it a real story? Did it happen? It happened. I didn't hear. No, I'm just asking. Kind of. stories, we need not again recall them. It's a they're part of our life. You and I are part of it. So we are exaggerating. You did a very good job. And Alan, you too. I have nothing to add to your evaluation as well as the evaluation of others. Now coming to the voting ready. Yeah, Cloud for the Best Speaker Award. Cloud is the password. And moving on, now the table topics session. Today, all the local men who were here, local businessmen, local citizen, except new resident, local millionaire, local neurosurgeon, local scientist, what happened? Local resident, Chaitra, yeah. According to me, it's only my observations, may not be correct, I leave it to you. If I were in your position, I would not have given these long sentences for them. Because 3-4 person asked you to repeat what you said. That's Surya, Teresa, Jafar, Sri Lakshmi, even Guru. Guru was sorry, it was sudden. Mr. Raju asked me to go, so he didn't expect it. But let this topic, table topic, 5 words. I usually don't go more than 6 words. Allow them to speak. Here there is a statement. Because table is meant to hold hands of the speaker. They are afraid to speak. Even I am afraid. To hold their hands and persuade them to present speeches. I suggest that one. Avoid long sentences. Otherwise, you have taken great efforts to do the research in your locality. Now, table topics, best table topic master. Again, cloud is the word. Now, coming to Puneet, excellent confidence, well on time. I noticed we were here much earlier, 5:30, smooth flow. And another thing, friends and fellow Toastmasters, Puneet took up the post just 2 days back because Varsha was busy and she had to be replaced. I think you forgot to explain the 3 sessions. Doesn't matter, we learn. Not an offense. It happens because there were about 10 guests there. Now may I request my title team to join me, Mr. Ganesh.
Friends, today's meeting has been a landmark meeting in terms of usage of unique words. We had 32 speakers on stage and we had a walk-in 35 unique words. Can we have a loud round of applause? Let me share some of those with you. Winning streak, elevate, misty, dazzle, chalk and cheese, heavenly spark, once. And now to my cathedral moments. Fatal is fatal. Exciting is exciting. Oftenly, there is no such word as often, it is often. Fox is actually folks. Jest is zest. Couldn't be able to is I could not. Step I taken is step I have taken. And word of the day was used only by Surya Kamal, and for that only I have to be blamed because I did not introduce personally at the beginning. Innocuous means insipid, inoffensive, harmless, something that doesn't arouse feelings or emotion. And I hope G will find this mistake as innocuous. That's it. I did that.
May I request time manager Mr. Vishwanath to come over to the stage.
From everyone. From the timer perspective, I could only say that, as rightly mentioned, I have all the time taken for all the 32 members. But what I like the most is, in terms of the prepared speeches, everyone was at par with the timeline of 4 to 6 minutes, where Gansham probably would have taken only 5 minutes just to mention it, and the rest of all were within the timeline of what is being planned. And similarly for the table topic, I could only say that I was thinking that as I started the clock, everyone looked at the minutes. I mean, within a minute, everyone spoke about it. I mean, it's really challenging. I can only say that it's wonderful to everyone in terms of the timeline kept it. And I see that there are a lot of speeches being on the subject discussed, and within the time frame of even 50 seconds, and a good speaking skills. And when it comes to the evaluations, everyone met the timeline of 3 minutes. I could only say that Sureka ma'am, with a good response on the things, feedback, 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Probably that is taken more time. Over to you to sponsor. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vishwanath. May I request the hero of St. Joseph's University, Toastmaster Club. Kiran.
I don't know what did I do to become a hero, but let me say, in today's context, there are 4 members who have not used filler words. So the members are DTM, Teresa ma'am, Sri Lakshmi, Varsha, and Sureka ma'am. So apart from that, Sana, don't worry. So there are even the experienced people who have used, experienced Toastmasters who have used more filler words. So I to point out a few members, I would say Punit has used 7 hours and 9 and. I know that is because of you are the TMOD and you took plenty of stage. And apart from that, Joe's Cole has used 5 hours and 7 and one thing I want to mention is I didn't have a column for I, but Priyanka had more than 15 or 16, so I had to put it out. So apart from that, Robinson sir, Vishwanath and Shelma, Lokesh has used it moderately, the filler words. So it is 2 hours and 1, that's it. Okay, over to you, Joe.
At the end, you use okay. And one other aspect, what I want to share with you, when the audience, somebody in the audience claps, we have to wait. We should not speak because they appreciate somebody else. And you spoke as the Toastmaster day was clapping. Now may I request Tana to please join me here. Sana, when you want to present your report, come straight, don't go round. If you go round, we'll answer the table topics. We get little more time. That's what you said last time. Sri Lakshmi, I think. She said, come, please.
Good evening, everyone. So, today there were a lot of points to listen to. Starting with the 3 golden words for a good attitude that Hannah mentioned. Yeah. And Puneet Rana started with the terminology for reading faces. Yeah, personology. Next one is in Joe Paul's speech. 2 cricketers that went to his school.
Thank you, man.
His Tintin Brothers were
Sons.
And Priyanka traveled to Leh from
Delhi.
Yeah. Thank you.
I suggest the faculty members should sit on the first row always. It's easy for them. 8:30. We have exceeded the time. Only one observation I have, because while I was speaking for the first time, the hall was almost 3/4 full. After the break, at least 1/3 of the members have gone.
After snacks.
After snacks. I have one suggestion for that. I am placing a resolution today that from next week onwards, snacks will be provided only after the meeting, not still. And over to Puneet. Thank you very much.
Can we have a big round of applause? If you haven't cast your vote to the evaluators also and the vote takers, please do so now. The passcode is CLOUD, CLOUD. I believe we all had a really interesting and engaging and inspiring meeting. I had a lot of fun, as much as I did, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. On that note, the meeting gets back to the president, Toastmaster Hannah.
While we get ready for the awards, I wanted to announce that the District 92 awards are out, and Bangalore Toastmasters Club so far has won 5 awards. I will mention one special mention is we did get the best newsletter, the 3rd position for the year 2020, for the year 21-22. So a big thank you to Alok and Priyanka. The award names, what we have won, I will describe it on the group. One is the Pathkeepers Award, the Golden Gavel, the Best Newsletter, 3rd position, the Spirit of 92, and the Membership Edition Champion. So this is the 5 awards we have won so far. So I think, thank you all the members for being part of this. I'd also like the opportunity, since many of the awardees who got awards last term weren't there for the induction ceremony. So just 2 more minutes and we will distribute the awards. Is that okay? Yes. Yes. Okay, great. Toastmaster Nagesh, may I request Robertson Satonis. The Best Speaker Award for the term, Jan to June 22, went to Toastmaster Nagesh
Thank you.
He also got the Pathbreaker Award for the term. The Rising Toastmaster Award went to Sri Lakshmi, Toastmaster Sri Lakshmi. Most helpful team player went to Toastmaster Lokesh. The best evaluator for the term went to Toastmaster Vivek Vijayan. And the committee, the executive committee of the last term, there were a few members who weren't there in the induction, so I'd like to acknowledge the service what each one of us put in the last 6 months. We did have many ups and downs, but it was a team which pulled itself up together. So I take the opportunity to thank each one of them. We will distribute the trophies to the ones who are here today. The first one is Toastmaster Uttappa. Toastmaster Chaitra, who was a the Vice President membership. Thank you, sir. The awards for this evening. The Best Role Taker Award goes to Toastmaster Chaitra. The Best Talented Team Player goes to Toastmaster Ganesh Pai. Speaker goes to Toastmaster Alok. The Best Evaluator Award goes to Toastmaster Surekha. And the Best Speaker Award goes to the Toastmaster who delivered a speech after 18 years. Thank you so much for all the enthusiasm and for staying back. Sorry for the delay. Next week we will make our utmost efforts to end at 8:30. Yes, thank you so much. Have a great evening. And I adjourn meeting number 1, 3.